Hello, YouTube. This is Al coming to you once again for Kindred Souls of Brooklyn. I'd like to thank you for tuning into this very special episode. I'm going to interview my dad right here, who's doing watchmaking for over 70 years. I believe he is the oldest active watchmaker in the entire world. If there's anybody out there older, still working 5 days a week, please let me know. But I think my dad has the title. He's a really interesting guy. I'm going to turn it over to my dad right now. His name is Al also. And thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. Drop us a line if you want. And with no further ado, this is my dad, Al. Hey, Dad, how you doing today?
Okay, great. I'm doing fine. I just got back from work today. I put in another 8 hours, and thank God I'm feeling fine. I'm still working. I'm able to still work. And it's funny, I started this business when I was a youngster. I took my father's watch apart, and it really intrigued me because how the things worked. It was like ticking. And when I repair a watch, it's like a Frankenstein, like bringing someone back to life. In fact, I never did put my father's watch back together again. I don't know what happened to it. I've been active since for the last 6 or 7 years. And thank God I enjoy my work. And I do work for most of the local stores in the downtown Manhattan area. Right now, the business is a little slack. Stores are a little quiet. But I am still active 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. Thank God I'm still able to put in my 8 hours.
If they want to get a watch fixed, where can they find you?
You can go through one of the stores. The stores will take you. Any one of these stores in this downtown area know of me because I did work for them at one time or other.
Can they go up to you directly and get a watch fixed?
Excuse me?
Can they go directly to you and get a watch fixed?
Well, not really. I'm not doing retail. I'm upstairs in a building.
Okay.
I'm like a hole in the wall in a building, but I keep busy with the stores, and thank God they keep me active enough.
So what happened after the war? What made you stay in watches after World War II was over? You decided to stay?
During the war, I worked in a defense plant. I was a youngster yet. And right after the war, one of my school-time buddies kept in touch with me. So I looked in a newspaper, and I found an ad for a watchmaker wanted. I was fresh out of school and green in the business. And the store was in Borough Park, which is close to my neighborhood. So I said, let me apply for the job. I said, maybe I'll be lucky and get the job. Sure enough, I found a nice jewelry store, and the owner, who used to be a foreman for a big watch company. And I told him, I said, listen, I'm just green in the business, and I don't have the field experience. So he was a good Jewish man, and he says to me, Al, don't worry, I'll teach you the business. And sure enough, he taught me the business. I stayed with him for about 4 years. And right after that, my school-time buddy says to me, Al, he says, I got a chance for a good job for you. I was making $40 a week in the jewelry store with this guy Goldberg. And he says to me, if you can assemble watches, there's a market out there for old watches. So he says to me, let's go in partnership. And sure enough, I went in partnership, and we started the business. And we put a couple of names in a hat, and he was on a battleship or something. The name of it was the Maddox. So we put all the names in a hat, and we pulled out a name, and that was Maddox. That's how we named our watch company. And as of today, I still carry that same name. And I will continue to do so. I'm doing a little, I used to sell movements all over the country. Used to buy them down in the Bowery and send them to jewelry stores who used to rebuild them, because it was right after the war. There was an extreme shortage of watches because all the watch companies had contracts with the government to manufacture GI watches. So there were very few watches for the civilian population. So they used to take the old watches, the old movements, put a new dial on them and a new case and sell them. The price we sold them for was $8 a piece, and they were good name brand watches. Then the watch company started to manufacture the watches again, and that knocked us out of business. And it left me with thousands of old movements, which I said, what am I going to do with them? I said, I had about 8,000 of them. Luckily, I got the idea to make cufflinks out of them, and which I do so today. I manufacture cufflinks and tie bars out of old watch movements, which I found a market in the stores for.
I think you have one of the tie bars over here, right?
I have one of the tie bars here.
This is an idea of one of the old, if you guys can see that too well, but it is actually, what is the process when you have the old, can you explain the process of how they do this? Because it's very shiny. If you're not noticing it, it's very shiny.
I take the old movements, I wash them out a little bit, and I solder them onto a plate, a tie bar, or cufflinks, and then I send them uptown to be electroplated, either yellow or white. And they do a nice job on them, and the stores carry these for me. They sell them for $50 a pair. So I sell them to the stores for $25.
So I imagine being in business for so long, you must have done some watches and repairs for some famous people.
I did. One day, a friend of mine says to me, Al, a friend of mine, you probably would know him, is going to give you some clocks, miniature clocks to repair. He's the collector of miniature watches. So I said to him, okay, send him up. And sure enough, who walks in the door? What's his name?
Eli Wallach.
Eli Wallach walks in the door with some pocket watches.
And folks, for you younger viewers out there who might not be sure who Eli Wallach is, he was an old character actor, probably best known for his portrayal of Tuco in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Yeah, he still has a book. So he came in and he has these miniature clocks. And he says to me, can you repair these for me? I says, fine. I says, leave them with me. It'll take about a week. I'll clean them all out for you and put them in shape. Sure enough, a week later, he came in. He says, how much I owe you? He told me, paid me a check right away. And he gave me his personal phone number. And he says, if you have an opportunity, call me. I got some more clocks for you. I says, fine. And he had that book, The Good, the Bad, and Me, which he gave me a copy of, and he autographed it for me, which I possess and I relish. And that's about the size of it. And thank God I'm still able to continue work. I pace myself, I limit my work, and thank God I'm still able to put in 8 hours a day as work.
Did you ever think you'd see the day where people wouldn't be wearing watches anymore? Where people would be using cell phones?
It's reaching that time now, where they're using their cell phone to tell the time. And I rode the subway one day, and I counted the people in there. There was about 40 people in there. It was summertime, and they all had shirts on, and short-sleeved ones. And I counted 40 people in the train, and only 10 people were wearing watches.
It's incredible.
And it seems like the watches are phasing out.
But what we're finding is that you're bringing back to life a lot of these old stopwatches and watches that belong to people's grandfather that lie dormant in drawers for years, and now you're bringing back all those memories because they thought they were long gone. Because you have the parts that other people don't have. In fact, didn't Bolivar call you for parts?
Over the years, I've accumulated a lot of old watches and old movements. I mean, I've been getting calls from material houses for certain parts, which one of the material houses called me up and they told me, listen, I need some parts for a Bolivar watch. So I said to him, what part do you need? He's from the winding wheel. I said, okay, how many do you want? And he says, give me 2 of them. I had them, I gave it to him. And they were for Bolivar watches, which he in turn sold them to Bolivar, which were repairing a Bolivar watch. And so I accumulated about 8,000 watches, and they are now obsolete, which I am turning into cufflinks and tie bars.
Well, Dad, you're a very beloved person. We love you as your family, and the whole area where you work loves you. In fact, you're kind of like the unofficial mayor of downtown Manhattan.
Yeah.
Because you go in and, you go in there to whether it's a pizzeria or the hardware store, everybody knows you.
I see people today that meet me on a bus. I used to do the batteries in our Hallmark store, which we had for 17 years, which I did batteries for the older people. They didn't know where to have their batteries replaced. So I did some for the old people. And still today, I meet these old people on the buses and the subway, and they tell me, Al, we have nobody to do our battery. I says, yes, I'm sorry, I'm out of business.
Yeah, and he's quite the celebrity, too. Last year, Major League Baseball had you in a commercial.
Yes, the Major League Baseball came into my shop and did a documentary, and they showed it right before a Yankee game. And I says to them, I said, do I get paid for this? They says, no, we don't pay, but we'll give you a DVD, which they sent me, which I still have.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was in commemoration of the celebration for Joe DiMaggio's
75th.
His 50th
record break.
It was the 75th anniversary of the 56 game hit streak.
Yes.
Joe and Joe DiMaggio.
Yep.
But you've seen a lot of things in your time. I mean, he actually rides the train every day. He goes from Brooklyn all the way to Lower Manhattan, and I think he probably has the record, other than an MTA worker, for the most F train rides in history. How many F train rides do you think you've taken in your life?
Yes.
Twice a day for 70 years?
That's about it, yep.
It amounts to a lot of rides.
I used to work more than that when I first started the business. I used to go in Saturday and Sunday.
Wow.
In fact, my wife, at that time, we were engaged. She was very handy. She used to come in and assemble some of the watches for me.
Yeah, it was quite amazing. And being the son of a watchmaker, a lot of times we had to do curriculum fairs in school, and oftentimes I would do a curriculum fair on watchmaking, and he'd give me all the parts to bring into school, and people were always fascinated by it. And it's something that's worldwide, and it's something that you're seeing less and less people actually going in and doing it. In fact, the new watchmakers who come in they don't really learn the old-fashioned watches, so it's getting to be a point where guys like my dad are getting fewer and fewer because the new guys don't get taught the old watches, right?
Yep. No, there's very few people learning it. It's a very hard trade. It takes a long time to learn, and you've got to be skilled enough to be able to handle small parts.
But you do have a couple of students who come in.
I taught a couple of students. I taught a couple of girls that did the flea market. They wanted to learn how to repair some of the watches, which they still keep in touch with me, and still work on watches a little bit.
It's amazing. Well, Dad, I want to thank you for this interview. You're fascinating. The world needs more people like you who are dedicated to their trade, who want to be productive and keep working and contribute to society, and to bring back, most of all, all these old memories that people have with these old watches that they think are going to be unrepairable, who were their grandfather's watches.
Thank you. It was nice doing the interview. Thank you.
All right, folks. Well, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that interview with my dad there. And please leave a comment. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. Please drop us a line. And if you have any watches to repair, you know where to send them or what to do. So have a wonderful evening. Happy holidays. And we'll see you real soon. Good luck, as he says. And we'll see you real soon. And keep ticking, as they say.
Okay. Au revoir.